Ultimate guide for staying motivated. If you haven't learned the ins and outs of motivation, getting and staying motivated can feel like an uphill battle. Fortunately, there are many tried and tested techniques for not just temporarily boosting your momentum but for permanently transforming it. In this guide to regaining and generating motivation, you'll discover Lifehack's ultimate formula for creating and maintaining motivation. You'll learn how to take back control of your life and prepare yourself to tackle your dreams. With motivation on your side, you'll set short and long-term goals that will set you up for success. If you're ready to learn everything you'll ever need to know about motivation, let's begin. Before starting, click the subscribe and like button. What is motivation? Motivation is the force that compels you to stick with your goals and achieve them. It's the desire to run a marathon, excel at your job, and lose weight. Without motivation, you wouldn't have any inclination to pursue greatness. Your basic motivations must first be met before you can start working towards improving the finer aspects of your life. Maslow's hierarchy of needs explains how you're motivated first to take care of your physiological and safety needs before you can pursue love, self-esteem, and self-actualization. Before you get ahead of yourself and dive into all of the psychological theories of motivation, take care of your most basic needs. Once you've taken care of the basics, you'll be ready to take on your higher purpose. Some will have a hard time sticking to their goals if they lack passion behind their motivation. When your thoughts, goals, and actions are all in line, you'll see yourself crossing the finish line before you know it. The most important step is putting purpose and passion behind your motivation. That's why you need to ask yourself, what goal is important enough to me, right now, that I can put my mind, body, and soul behind it? The importance of motivation. Finding and building motivation is vital as it will allow you to change your habits, become the best you, set achievable goals, learn how to manage time, build skills and talents, improve your mental health. Motivation has an exponential effect. In the beginning, it can be difficult to stick with your goals. When you've made it past the initial pain period, you're more likely to keep working towards the finish line. You'll find that in those moments it allows you to adapt to a fast-paced, ever-changing environment, function productively, build courage and character, increase your internal drive. Motivation is also linked with our physical and mental health. When we lack motivation, our well-being will diminish. Our basic needs will stop being met and our mind and body will suffer because of it. You need to have the motivation to go to the gym and work out. You need to have the motivation to be a good parent, partner, and friend. When we start to become less motivated in simple tasks like cleaning our room, this has a butterfly effect that can negatively affect our well-being. It's for these reasons why you need to find your motivational drive. It's a crucial aspect to living a full life and achieving happiness, success, and more. Why is it difficult to stay motivated? The tricky part about motivation is not starting, but staying motivated. Every new year, thousands decide they're going to change their lives. Fewer than 10% actually stick with their resolution, and that's being generous. Below you'll find many common reasons why you're losing motivation. Not aiming high enough. While it's easy to think setting easy goals will keep you motivated, it may harm your long-term motivation. If you make goals that are too achievable, you'll get bored and lose interest. Ideally, you want to strike a balance between pushing yourself and creating realistic goals. If you're used to staying within your comfort zone, you'll be missing out on the satisfaction of achieving a life-changing goal. When you push yourself, you'll be able to build unshakable confidence as you crush goal after goal. When you look around one day and you're living your dream, it'll all be worth it. Here are 7 reasons to dare to dream big. Suffering from procrastination. If you find it hard to stay focused and get started, you'll find yourself falling behind. Procrastination is a bad habit that you must learn to deal with if you want to achieve your short-term goals. Some simple steps you can take to defeat procrastination are: commit to starting a task for at least 3 minutes, create daily, weekly, and monthly to-do lists, and reward yourself when you complete your tasks. Learn how to stop procrastinating. 11 practical ways for procrastinators, or try out the Pomodoro method. Unclear vision. Uncertainty about the future is a fear that many of us deal with. It can be paralyzing. Instead of taking action, we start worrying about, what if? What if it doesn't work out? What if my dream isn't truly my dream? What if I don't succeed? If you have trouble creating a vision, then you're at risk of drifting aimlessly through life. When you find your purpose and passion, you'll be driven to strive for excellence. You can start the process of discovering your life purpose by asking yourself, What would my ideal life look like? Letting fear control your mind and actions. Fear can prevent you from achieving your dreams. Instead of taking action and moving forward, you might be finding yourself apprehensive due to the fear of failure. You mustn't allow fear to hold you back. You'll inevitably miss out on career, relationship, and self-improvement opportunities if you don't learn how to manage your fears. Fortunately, fear can be overcome. One way to manage fear is to look for the root cause of your fear. With deep introspection, you can uncover the exact moment that triggered the fear that has been hindering your growth. This will give you a window of opportunity to communicate with your inner being and find release. Facing your fear is the only way you'll be able to become the best version of yourself. You don't need to fix your problem overnight, but taking slow, thoughtful actions can have massive impacts on how you deal with your inside and outside world. Try these 14 ways to live life free of fear and full of hope. Feeling overwhelmed with work and responsibilities, otherwise known as burnout, it places you into a state of depression from overexertion and you struggle to achieve your goals. Burning out occurs when we put our well-being on the back burner to further ourselves in our careers or hobbies. When we feel overwhelmed and forget about ourselves, it becomes a challenge to unwind and find balance in life. Burning out is a sign that you're motivated, but you need to learn how to separate work and home life. Without this separation, the lines begin to blur and you may find it increasingly difficult to find motivation for yourself when you're constantly wiped out from work. Types of motivation. Understanding and knowing how to use the different types of motivation can help you reach your goals. Intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation stems from finding satisfaction from within and doesn't rely on the potential external gain. If you play a sport but only for enjoyment, you're doing it out of intrinsic motivation. The same could be said for drawing, meditating, learning, and reading. Anything that you pursue for enjoyment rather than for potential personal benefit is intrinsic motivation. You'll find that it's easier to stick with an intrinsic motivation because you're enjoying the process rather than depending on an external factor to bring you happiness. Extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation is working towards a tangible goal that has a specific outcome. Working hard to get promoted is extrinsic motivation. Playing a sport only to win is extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation doesn't necessarily mean bad, but you may find that extrinsic motivations bring you less fulfillment than intrinsic motivations. Reward-based, incentive motivation. Similar to extrinsic motivation, you can think of it like a carrot on a stick. A reward is waiting for you after you complete a task. For example, your partner tells you that if you clean the house, they'll cook a delicious dinner for you. If you don't like cleaning, getting you to clean can be an insurmountable task. With the incentive of a reward for a tasty meal, you'll easily find the motivation to get the job done. Fear-based motivation. Fear-based motivation is an example of negative reinforcement. You may be fearful that if you don't stick to your goals, you'll never fit into the size clothes you want or get the job you've been dreaming about. Fear-based motivation can be extremely powerful when used towards achieving the right goals. Achievement-based motivation. People who are striving to achieve higher roles, better positions and better titles are all working through achievement-based motivation. Those who are utilizing achievement-based motivations are working towards a goal they have in mind. They aren't necessarily working solely for personal gain. If you're a professional that's looking to expand your horizon, using achievement-based motivation can help you get there while keeping the ego at bay. Power-based motivation. If you want to change the world, or at least some part of it, then you'll be able to call upon power-based motivation. Essentially, if you want to be a leader and a visionary, you'll only be able to succeed with a thirst for power. This could be a negative, think of dictators, but it could also be very positive, think of Martin Luther King Jr. Affiliation motivation. If you've ever been part of a sports team, you have seen affiliation in action. It's that special team spirit that motivates each player to perform their very best. Work can be the same too. You just need to make sure you're part of a harmonious and supportive team. Competence motivation. If you're always trying to learn new things and become an expert, you're being driven by competence motivation. Competence motivation is incredibly powerful when you're trying to build a business and start facing obstacles. Instead of giving up, you'll continue learning and keep pushing forward. Attitude motivation. Imagine trying to tackle a big goal such as learning a new language by starting with a negative mindset. Your defeatist attitude is likely to lead to just that, defeat. But now picture the same scenario with your mindset switched to positive. With this hopeful, go-getting attitude, you'll have the motivation to start learning and speaking the language of your choice. Want to find the motivation styles that work best for you? Intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. When to use extrinsic motivation should be used wisely, as only focusing on fame and fortune can lead to a feeling of unfulfillment. Some situations to use extrinsic motivation are offering it to those who don't want to do a particular task. Getting someone to do a task can be rewarding if they have something to look forward to at the end of it. Making and saving money for retirement. Wanting to run for public office only for publicity. When to use intrinsic motivation is doing something for personal enjoyment rather than a reward. Without having anything to look forward to at the end, you're more likely to enjoy the task you're doing. When you're only worrying about your enjoyment, you don't have to worry about achieving any goal. Having only intrinsic motivations can lead you to do tasks without purpose. A mixture of both extrinsic and intrinsic motivations is needed to have a balanced life. You want to enjoy what you're doing, but at the same time find fulfillment along the way as well. Positive reinforcement versus negative reinforcement. Reinforcement is a consequence that, when applied, will strengthen the chances of you performing the same habit again. Think of reinforcements as another layer to motivation, and that it influences specific actions that we do. Reinforcements come in two ways: positive and negative. Positive reinforcement is presenting a motivating stimulus to someone after a certain action or behavior is done. An example of this is receiving a bonus for performing better than your coworkers. Negative reinforcement is all about removing a certain stimulus after a certain action or behavior is done. For example, you'll clean the dishes if it saves you from your partner telling you to do them. Another is waking up and turning off your phone's alarm. No matter which type of motivation, you must learn how to take action about it to get what you want. The Actionable Motivation on Demand Handbook can help you do just that. You need to do one more thing: click subscribe and like button, smiley face.